What's up, ghouls and gals? Thank you guys so much for joining me, and thank you guys so much for loving the channel. Truly appreciate it. My last two videos did 100,000 subscribers, so pretty stoked about that. Or 2 subscribers. Same thing. Who's counting? Because I'm not. So yesterday I had an experience. It was nothing big, but it was a good experience. Something to learn from. Never go outside when I'm by myself. Now I had this guy. He came to clean the backyard. I paid him a couple bucks, nothing too crazy. Basically cut the grass, organize it a little bit. It looks really nice, you know, no complaints. Well, I have a puppy, okay? So I had her here with me inside of the office, and just in case she doesn't run out to the back with the huskies that are in the backyard. So I kept her in the room with me. The house is completely empty, and I have my headphones on, not paying attention to the world that's outside, and she's waiting by the door that's right here. And I'm just like, oh, okay, maybe he's trying to knock on the door. Maybe he's finished and he doesn't want to just barge in. So I take off my headphones and I open the door. There's nobody right there. And I look down the hall to the back of the kitchen where the sliding doors are. And he's barely putting on his little jetpack, the leaf blower. I was like, okay, I'll give him like maybe 30 minutes. I don't know how this thing works. So give him a little bit. 5 minutes later, I hear knocking on the back window for the sliding doors. I'm like, am I really hearing something? So I take off my headphones and I look, and then the man is like knocking on the sliding door, and I'm like, what the hell? Why just come inside the door, man? But basically the door locked. Now it's just me inside of the house. Rose is at work. I'm here reflecting on life, looking at some videos. And so I open the sliding door. I'm like, what happened? You know, he speaks Spanish. I speak Spanglish-ish. I know a couple words. I know how to order in Spanish, but that's pretty much it. So I try to explain to him maybe a ghost locked him out. He didn't understand me. So I'm like, oh, fantasimo. And he's like, oh, fantastico. It's fantastico, like a fantastico job. I'm like, yeah, that's a fantastico job. But no, I meant like, ooh. And so he's like, I know. And that was pretty funny. So I pay him. He takes off. And then I want to do a little bit debunking myself, make sure this place isn't haunted, because hopefully it is not haunted. It's Sunday. I'm going to pray. I slam the door really hard just to make sure like maybe the little knob slid down, and nothing. I'm like, okay, maybe it's nothing. I don't think anything of it. So I text Rose and I tell her like, hey, this is what happened. She's like, oh, remember that happened to me? I'm like, yeah, that did happen to you actually. And this was we're in February. So last year, I didn't think anything of it, but that's my story. Something's happening. Don't know what it is. Why was the dog waiting by the door? Nobody was there. Why was the man knocking on the back? Nobody locked it. Was it me? No, really, it wasn't me though, but you know. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the Hat Man. If you guys aren't familiar with what the Hat Man is, it's basically a man that shouldn't be there, but he's there. Follows me around, follows my mom around, follows my brother. Very scary man. Don't know who he is. Don't know why everybody experiences him. If you guys have experienced him, please let me know about it, because I want to get down to business over here, do some investigating, because I am an investigator part-time. Shit, imagine. Just kidding. Yeah, so my first experience, I would say I was about 7, 8 years old. And I lived on a house in Laverne when I was younger. Inside of this room, you could see from where I'm sleeping and down to the hall where the kitchen is, okay? Basically, what happened was, me being the best sister as I am, I was a protector to my older sister, and we slept in the same bed when we were little because, you know, I had to make sure she's safe at night. And I'm contemplating life. I'm laying there, restless, and I look towards the kitchen, and there's a floating head. And I'm just staring at it. And this man has a top hat, big glowing floating head. It was like a green flowing head, and I'm like, the heck is that? And I'm telling my sister, there's a man right there. Her being the big sister that she is, she should shut the hell up and go to sleep. I'm like, I'm not gonna go to sleep, man. There's a man right there, and he's staring at me. So the man is basically going like this, staring at me, going like this. Floating head, just going like this the whole time. And I'm eating bricks, dude. I'm telling her, wake up. She's like, leave me alone. I'm trying to sleep. And I'm like, but please, I'm your protector. Protect me, man. Protect me. And she's like, go to sleep. There's nothing right there. And I'm like, all right, bet. So I turn around. I fall asleep. Tell her the next day there was really a floating head right there. She didn't believe me. She believes me now because she had experienced some stuff inside of this house. But whatever. That's my very first experience that I had with the guy. Didn't know who he is. Didn't know what he wanted. But I know maybe this was the last time I was ever going to see him. Until it wasn't. The second experience that I had was I had moved in with my grandma down the street. Okay, we did move around a lot, as you guys can tell. Maybe these things are following me around. Maybe they're following my family around and I'm just collateral damage. But this is the situation at hand. So my grandma had just moved into this house. She had no furniture, nothing. She had a TV inside of the living room and maybe some cabinets, like some long old school cabinets. Don't know what she had. Don't remember that part. But what I do remember is the fact that I was laying down on the floor like a poor little kid because my grandma didn't have any of her furniture in there yet. And so I'm going to say it as if it's me facing this way. Okay, guys? So the TV was right here. I'm laying down like this, like a little angel. And it's the middle of the night. I can't sleep because, you know, contemplating life and things. And I hear papers rustling. Like if somebody's turning a page in a book, turning a page in a magazine. So I take a look over and there is a man sitting down with his legs crossed. He has a top hat. He's wearing a suit and he's reading a book. And I see him flip over the page to the book. He doesn't look at me. He doesn't pay no mind to me. And I completely freeze with fear. And I just turn around the other way to where the TV is facing. I think I'm stuck like that for like a good 5 minutes because all I hear is the papers. Constantly. Papers rustling. Papers rustling. I'm like, damn, this motherfucker reads fast. But no, seriously though. Like, it scared me. It scared me so bad. I was petrified. Okay, guys? I was petrified. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, maybe if I just turn on the TV, he'll just leave me alone. So I turned on the TV, and the moment that I did, I was like, go to sleep. Oh, dude, I was shaking in my boots. I turned around, and it's my grandma walking towards me. What are you doing awake? Go to sleep. And I'm just like, you scared the shit out of me, Grandma. She's like, what are you doing? I said, I just seen the ghost right now. He was right there. She's like, just go to sleep, go to sleep. And I was like, okay, I'll go to sleep. I didn't. I was watching TV very late at night, and then until I fell asleep from fear. Those are my two experiences with this guy. My brother calls me this morning, or what I thought was my brother, because I answered the phone. I was like, hey, motherfucker, what's up? And actually, it was my nephew. And I'm like, oh, sorry, baby, what's going on? He's like, you don't call me anymore. Tear. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then my brother got the phone, and I was telling him what I was going to do today. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm just about to go post a video. He's like, oh, that's right. You have a YouTube page. Let me check it out. And then, so I was telling him I'm going to talk about the Hat Man today. He's like, oh, I've seen him 2 times. And I'm like, bruh, so did I. So he told me about his 2 experiences. Like, whoa, man, let me take some notes here. I do got some audio from that. Hopefully I could throw that inside somewhere around here. So the first experience that my brother had was when he had just got out of prison. You know, he had did some things in his life, but he turned it around. You know, he completely born again virgin, Christian, my second father. You know, he's a really good guy. So the first day he came out, he was at my house. He took a shower, and this is the house on Madison, the one I told you about, the ghost lady. So the first day that he came, he took a shower. You know, he thought his mind was playing tricks on me because he kept getting the feeling that somebody was staring at him. And he's like, you know, this is my first day out. I'm not used to really being in a situation where the guards aren't looking at me while you're showering, because basically we all know how it works out there, right? So he was in this situation where he felt like somebody was staring at him. He thought it was mine was playing tricks on him until it wasn't. Now in this shower we have like those glass sliding doors instead of the curtains. So he had seen like a black shadow figure. What he could make out was an old woman just staring at him. Now that was in the beginning of the day. When it came down to the night, he was asleep on the couch inside of the living room. And from what he tells me, basically he heard knocking and he's like, hey, can I come in? So he's like, what the fuck? Like maybe we were expecting somebody because he is new to this house. He doesn't know what's going on. He opened it and there was nobody there. And then he heard the knocking again, and he looked through the peephole and there was a man wearing a top hat. Like, hey, can I come in? And he's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, You know, my brother has had some experiences too, but I mean, this is his first day out. What the hell is going on here, right? So he opens the door and the man is gone. So the next day he tells my mom what happened, and she's like, oh, well, you know, like this house is haunted because just the way that I told you guys, the lady was haunting the house. She had passed away, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that this is a man with a top hat and he's wearing a 1900s type attire. The second experience that my brother had was he was at Coco's house, and Coco is my sister-in-law, the mother of my godson, Jibo. And basically he heard something coming from the closet. And so he looked over and there was a man that had a top hat with, he said, a 1900s attire. And he had like a long suit, like a long flap in the back, and he had a tie. So the man came out, he stepped out of the closet, he tipped his hat, and then he went back inside of the closet. And my brother got up and he's like, oh, fuck no, like you have another man in here or whatever. And so he started going through the closet, maybe thinking that there was like a trap door or something, or whatever the case. And so he went inside and he was going, and she's like, and he woke up Coco like, hey, what's up? You like, you have another man in here? And she's like, no, what are you talking about? She's like, I just seen a man coming out of the closet. And Coco said like, oh, did he have a top hat? Was he wearing this? And he's like, yeah, that's exactly who it is. She described him, he described him, and sure enough, it was the Hat Man. She said, I can't believe you've seen him because I've been seeing him since I was little, and I'm glad that somebody else is able to see him as well. So I think that was a very, very crazy experience that they both had. Just my brother was able to see it for his own eyes. So then he was telling me that every now and then he'll start knocking on the closet, the Hat Man. But I know that there's some occurrences that happen in their house because I have seen a lady inside of their house walking down the hall, and I'm like, brother, there's a freaking ghost inside of your house. I'm not gonna sleep over here anymore ever again. And he's like, oh yeah, you've seen her too. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how are you gonna say that so nonchalant? So every now and then they'll hear like a knocking on the closet. Like if they're having a conversation, they'll just hear knock knock, like basically like telling them to shut up. Or sometimes if they're talking too much, the Hat Man would just pound on side of the closet, like, hey, like, no, I mean it, shut up. So one time they thought it was their kids. They took a look around the house and there was nobody inside of the house, like, and it was coming from the closet, but they looked in the closet and then there was nobody there. Then he was telling me about another situation that happened with him with, Coco had like this old school vanity mirror, and she had knew a man named John once. Okay. This man, he was a very old man. He was bald. My brother thought he was tripping one day because he was looking inside of the mirror and he seen two men staring at him. And my brother was like, I'm seeing stuff right now. And she's like, no, it's okay, don't worry. He's like, no, I'm seeing stuff, I'm seeing it in the mirror. And she's like, let me take a look. So they sat down next to each other, they looked in the mirror, and they got on a piece of paper, both of them each, my sister-in-law and my brother, and they started writing down what they were seeing. And then they compared notes, and they were seeing the exact same thing. One of them was a bald old man that was sitting next to the Hat Man, and they were just staring at my brother through the mirror. Very old school vanity mirror, same thing again, man with a top hat and an old man. And she's like, this man has been following me since I was a little girl. It really makes me think, how is it that me, my brother, and Coco, you all experienced the same exact thing inside of our lifetime? It really makes you wonder how many more people are experiencing the same exact entities, whether it be from UFOs, Bigfoot, Dogman sightings, all of that stuff. Like, how is this possible? And then still be considered fake or a conspiracy. Going back to what my brother said about him seeing the reflection of the men in the mirror, it brought me back to what I was talking to you guys about in my first video about me taking a picture of my dog and there was a man in the reflection of the TV. So it was really, really crazy on this one because it wasn't the Hat Man. It was a man wearing a hat, but it was kind of like one of those World War II helmets, those really solid metal helmets. And he was wearing one of those. But the weird thing about it is, I didn't feel a presence inside of the room. I just took the picture and he was there inside of the TV. Now, the way that my bed was set up, my bed was up against the wall this way, and my head was this way. So I was just chilling, sitting down on my bed, and I took a picture of my dog because I thought it was the cutest thing ever. She's laying on her back, her tongue is sticking out. I snapped a picture of her, and my TV was pushed against the wall this way, and it's like if somebody was sitting on the bed just right in front of the TV. And I thought it was really weird because when I looked back at the picture, I noticed it and I was like, what the hell is that inside of the picture? So I took a closer look to it and I tried to debunk it myself. You know, maybe maybe it was just a shadow or something. And I look around the room. I was like, no, there's nothing there. It's literally just a dog, and that's it. So the shoulders were the edge of the TV, just like the screen. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a TV right here. So the end of the TV, and then there was a silhouette of the man with the helmet. I showed my mom the picture, and she's like, oh, you better delete that because it's going to follow you around forever. I was like, no, you're crazy. I ended up keeping the picture for a little bit until I started having really bad nightmares. And then that's when I'm like, you know what? Like, maybe I should just toss this picture. I really wish I had it so I could show you guys, but I do not have that picture anymore. Second time that happened to me. Really, really crazy story. I hope you guys are down for this one. But how am I going to say this? It had to be one of the most chilling experiences that I've ever had. And I know I say that a lot because a lot of these are pretty creepy, but this one just kind of hit differently. I'm not going to use real names here. Maybe just my two buds, Johnny and my Cal. So we do tarot readings, me and my Cal. All right. And we're doing a tarot reading on my house because a lot of shit has been cracking there. Sorry, sister. Like, let's say inside of the kitchen, one day I was getting off of work and I used to work really late. But I was in the kitchen, I was at the island, and to the back room, I heard a noise in the back room. And I looked and I was like, what the hell is that? And then I heard it go straight through the walls and I followed it. I just hear banging, banging, banging. And then it went directly outside of the front door. I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, literally something was walking through the walls and I heard it every step of the way, all the way to the front door. So I got to the point where too many experiences were happening. My sister had me go get holy water from the church. I had to spray down the house, say my prayers everywhere throughout the house, the closets, the doorways, the hallways, the kitchen, etc., etc. Like, I had to go get holy water. I had to bless the whole house, do the sage, everything. And I was just like, you know what? Like, we need to find out what's going on to the bottom of this. So we did a tarot reading on the house, and inside of the kitchen, at the table, just like I'm sitting in this exact spot. Okay, dead ass. And then Johnny's sitting next to me. Let's just say Monica's sitting over there, Sandra's sitting over here, my Cal's sitting on the opposite side, and then behind my Cal there's a TV. You know, Americans have to fucking watch TV while they're eating dinner. So there's a TV right there. I look up and there's a woman behind me, further down to the back side of the kitchen, just standing there, all completely black. Not the same woman that was following me from Madison. It was a completely different woman, dressed in all black, like a black gown. You guys ever seen The Nun? Picture her with her veil over her head, but just black figure. And I was just like, fuck, like, hey, my Cal, do you see what's behind me? Because he's a medium, so he could see ghosts. And he's like, yeah, I know, I see it. Because she's been standing there the whole time. And I'm like, all right, bet, let's get down to the bottom of this. So we're doing a tarot reading. And for some reason, I got into a trance. This is the most craziest effing story that I'm probably ever going to tell you guys. I got into a trance. We're doing the tarot reading. From what I picked up, it was a man. He killed his wife, killed his kids. She was cheating on him. He was severely depressed. So there was like a sadness. Like, when you walk into the door of this house, there was like a sadness that overwhelms you. And sometimes I would hate being by myself in this house. My sister still lives there, but I don't think anything is there because after all of this shit, like, I blessed the house completely. Bruh. We're doing a tarot reading. I get myself into the trance. I'm talking to Johnny. He's on the side of me. Telling him, I'm looking into the TV. I said, Johnny, that is not my reflection. That is a reflection of a man. He's like, what are you talking about? I don't see anything. That's you. I said, no, Johnny, that's not me. That's not me. And I break down and I start. I'm not lying to you guys. I don't cry every time there's a fucking ghost, but this is one of the most experiences this is the craziest experience that I've ever had. And I'm telling him, Johnny, look at, like, there's a man staring at me inside of the TV. It's not my reflection. It's a full-blown fucking face of a man. And I'm like, look, like he's in the reflection. He's staring at me. He's like, no, that's you. You're tripping. Like, it's fine. And then so he's like, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, like, I'm fine. Because I'm like, I'm crying. Like, I'm dead ass. I'm scared. Like, what the hell is going on? There's a fucking man in my reflection. Like, I know I look like a dude, but come on. Like, do I really look like that much of a boy? And like, no, I don't. This was a grown ass man. He's like, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And then my cow is telling me, like, what's going on? What's going on? And I was like, well, there was a man in the fucking reflection and it wasn't me. And Johnny's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I just told you there was a man that was staring at me. It wasn't me. He's like, no, you never told me that. I was like, Johnny, I was just talking to you right now. What are you talking about? We just had a full-blown conversation. Everybody's looking at me on the table like I'm fucking crazy. They're like, no, you weren't talking. You just started crying out of nowhere. I was like, what the hell is going on right now? Like, I know, I dead ass swear to God, like, I was talking to Johnny, having a full-blown conversation with him, and they're like, no, you were never talking at all. Like, you just started crying out of nowhere. And bro, like, the whole house, like, I was freezing, I was shivering, I was cold. Like, it was just so scary. 2 seconds later, the front door swings open and there's a man standing inside of the doorway. Everybody gets fucking scared. I asked Johnny the other day, I was like, did you see that? He's like, no, I actually never seen it, but I remember that the door flew open and we had curtains blocking the door so this way nobody could see inside. So it blew open, the door flew open. Michael could see ghosts. He's seen a man standing right there. I got the shadow figure. I got the shadow figure. I didn't see the man standing in the doorway, but I seen his shadow. Michael seen the man. Sandra seen the man. And so did Monica. Sandra ended up spreading out all the tarot cards, mixing them up. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you can't do that. You can't touch tarot cards. If you didn't touch the tarot cards to begin with, you're not allowed to touch the tarot cards that are on the table. Like, now everything's like all jacked up. Like, there's some bad juju inside of the house. She freaks out. She starts crying because she's seen the man. So my cow and Sandra seen the man. Johnny didn't see anything, but he also didn't hear me talking to him. So who's to say? Guys, craziest shit that I've ever been through. Aside from seeing my doppelganger, that was the craziest shit that I've ever been through. So a couple days later, my cow comes and we're going up the stairs to my room, okay? But before we go up the stairs, he turns to the side and he sees somebody inside of the living room. Now, to my sister, Lizbeth, sorry, maybe this is the first time you're hearing this, but you're gonna hear it today, girl. Basically, we're about to walk up the stairs. He turns to the side. He's like, oh, who's that laying over there? And I was like, oh, that's my sister, because she's asleep in the living room. The lights are off, and he's like, there is somebody hovering over your sister, and they're staring at her as she sleeps. I don't know. I know you guys seen this in movies before, where there's like a sleep paralysis demon, and the way that they show them is like a ghostly figure just laying over somebody, watching them as they sleep, making sure they don't get up or whatever. Now, my sister has sleep paralysis a lot. She got it like last week. She was telling me this. And I was like, fuck, are you serious? Like, so my sister, the experience that she had with like the same thing about the TV, she said she would hear shit coming from the TV. The TV is completely off, but she'll hear voices next to her, or she'll hear somebody breathing inside of her ear, like some weird demonic stuff. Like, I'm telling you guys, like, this house was no joke. I'm so glad that they don't experience anything anymore, like after the blessing. It probably should have been done a long time ago, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, because it got to the point where my niece and my nephew were just like, they couldn't hear the word monster, and if they did, like, they were like 2 and 3 years old, if I'm not mistaken, and they'll go screaming like terrified. And then I was just like, you know what, like, we had to do something. So that's when I went to the church, and I had to buy all the holy water and stuff. My sister, my older sister, she would see a man walking down to the stairs out the front door. What is it that every single house that I have lived in, I have experienced something? Is something following me around? Something following my family around? Because even going back with my grandma was like 22. Like, my grandma was telling me a story one day when I was younger about how she used to work at the flower mart down in downtown LA. And one day she was walking through the alley. There was a broken mirror inside of the alley, and she said she looked in the mirror and there was a lady that was following her. She turned around and there was nobody there, a lady in black following her. So she started running down the alley, and she told me, she's like, it was death following me, and I was so scared, and I ran. She used to walk with like these, she told me she used to walk with like these gallon jugs of water. And she's like, I just started running with them. I wasn't even gonna look back. I just started running through the alley. And I'm like, Grandma, like, you gotta be careful. But not thinking about it, LA was a different breed back in the days. Like, you could have your kids running around the streets, nothing would happen to them. Or you could be a woman, you could walk down the streets and your neighbors will be the ones that'll take care of you. But nowadays, like, you walk down the streets, like, you'll be blessed if you make it home. And that's pretty jacked up, like, the world that we live in now. I have another experience for you guys. Actually, quite a few more experiences for you guys. This one I'm gonna probably do on my next video. I'm gonna have a conversation with my brother later because it has to do with the both of us and dream walking, or I'm gonna say trance, when you're stuck in a mindset that's not really in this world. That happened to me not too long ago, 3 years back, I'm gonna say. Basically, this experience I was talking to my brother one day. He had picked me up so I could go get my car because I got really drunk one day. I had my back tattoo, like a full-blown back tattoo. I was gonna tap out. I ended up getting drunk, pushing through it. He picked me up to go pick up my car the next day because I left it at my tattoo artist's place. And then I was telling him about a situation. I was doing meditation through binaural beats and I ended up going into a trance. Brought me into this other world where I wasn't too familiar with, but my brother is familiar with. It's a place that he goes visits quite frequently, and I want to talk to you guys about that because, again, with all of these experiences, it's something that's really insane that I can't even describe. Visiting another world where somebody visits in their dream when I'm meditating. My brother visits this place in his dream, but when I'm meditating, I went to the same exact place and I didn't find out until he picked me up. So stay tuned in. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I truly appreciate all your guys' love and support. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe down at the bottom. If you guys have any experiences that you guys want to share with me, feel free to leave me an email. Either way works for me. Just get a hold of me, guys. Again, thank you guys so much. Peace.